Donald Abrams, to get permission for his study. Compromises were made along the way. FDA approved his study several times, but the National Institute on Drug Abuse would not provide the marijuana. And then finally we had to compromise by making it into a safety study instead of a study really looking at efficacy of marijuana for AIDS wasting. But then we managed to help him get $1 million government grant for that study. That was the first study of the use of marijuana in a patient population in over 15 years. We worked with a Dr. Ethan Russo, and he was trying to look at marijuana with migraines. We got that study approved by the FDA, and NIDA refused to provide the marijuana. So that study ended without it really starting. Ethan just recently did a study of the few patients that get marijuana on a compassionate basis from the government. MAPS funded that study. So we're trying to do what we can with medical marijuana, from trying to grow it to trying to use the delivery system and then trying to start the clinical trials. And also then again what I've described in psychedelics, as well as our educational efforts. We've published books, published the bulletin, and so there's people can learn about it all on our website, and we're about 1,800 members, as I said, but we'd like to grow, so we're seeking new membership.
Do you feel like being a member of MAPS is an invitation for individuals to get in trouble with the government in some way?
No, and in fact I think the opposite. I think really joining MAPS is a way to help people to, maybe in our long-term way, help people to be safer. For instance, any nonprofit.
I understand that.
But let me just say is that nonprofit organizations have a right to exist under American law, and the government is very reluctant to go after people who are expressing their First Amendment rights to free speech or to support certain political causes. So the membership list of MAPS has never been solicited by the government. The same is true for the American Civil Liberties Union. And there's a lot of controversial organizations that the membership list is something that government has no right to ask for. So nobody I know has ever suffered anything from being a member of MAPS. Nobody's ever talked to me about how they were. Nobody knows.
Hadn't been a problem for you personally? You've never been harassed?
No, every once in a while, somebody calls up and wants to buy drugs, and so you think this maybe is a DEA plant. So, occasionally, I feel like maybe I'm being probed by the government about what it is that we're doing. Mm-hmm. But since what we're trying to do is all about getting legal permission for research to make legal change, I think that the government, again, is, there's been this era when J. Edgar Hoover and others in the 60s was going after people who were members in organizations, and government got a lot of shit for that. And so even though...
Do you think things are better now?
I think there are some safeguards. I think some of the major embarrassments and scandals of the past have produced certain safeguards of today. I think we're more at risk from being busted than we are from joining organizations and getting harassed because of that. Mm-hmm. So, no, I don't think people are really at risk. I mean, there are donors who want to donate anonymously to MAPS, and we will gratefully and gracefully accept their donation and keep their names anonymous. But we ask most of our donors if they're willing to be publicly acknowledged, and most of them have been. And most of them have been publicly acknowledged, and nothing has happened to any of our donors. Our annual report where we outline where all the money went, we also talk about all the large donors, and list as many of the names as people are willing to let us list. So I think overall, we're lucky to live in America, even though we're in the midst of this very repressive drug war.
It's funny. It seems like so many people involved in reform, drug war reform, are short on money, and it seems like just from the very little that I know about you and what you've been doing, is that it seems like you have just been going up a steep cliff and not passing, just going, keep on going, keep on tracking it. It seems like a nuclear powered.
Well, we are doing pretty well, and actually the next big step is our $5 million 5-year plan. And that's what I think it will take to make MDMA into a prescription medicine. And so that document outlining our long-term strategy is also up on the MAPS website, and will soon be published in the Journal of Psychoactive Drugs. They're doing a special issue on MDMA to come out in a couple of months. So I've submitted that article, which has been accepted to that issue of the journal. But we have the advantage that with psychedelics, particularly with MDMA, a lot of people have had very important experiences, and they want to give something back. And one way of fighting back, one way of giving something back, is to help the research to try to make these medicines available to people who wouldn't otherwise have access to them, or who wouldn't want to take the risk of breaking the law. So that's our ace in the hole, in a sense, is that psychedelics produce profound experiences that people highly value. And when they have these experiences, they want to contribute back. And so we work with people who, not that all of our donors have tried these drugs. Some of our donors have never tried these drugs, but still believe either they're libertarians, or they believe in social change, or they just believe that, you know, these particular illnesses that we're looking at to treat with these medicines need more research. But I think overall I'd say that a fair number of people who are our largest donors have had life-affirming experiences with psychedelics and marijuana.
Yeah.
As I have, and which is why I'm working in this area.
I personally have also. I've had some.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not
I've
surprised.
had some negative, experiences also that have brought a sense of sobriety to the whole issue. I look upon it as very, very serious, but profoundly, potentially positive and life-changing.
Yeah, that's true. These are tools that deserve a lot of respect, and I think the whole idea of the bad trip is really something that we need to reinterpret. The bad trip is the difficult experience. It doesn't have to be bad. Difficult doesn't mean bad. What bad usually means is resistance. You don't want it. And that's, in a way, supported by our society, which tries to build paranoia and make it so that people interpret all these experiences in a bad, negative way. But difficult, really, if you look at the religious literature, there's this period that's called the dark night of the soul, where people go through this self-evaluation and self-doubt and painful period, and usually that's before the opening into the wider spirituality. And so difficult is actually productive in a safe context. And certainly the people that get MDMA for post-traumatic stress are going to go through pain. It's not like people think, oh, ecstasy, give them the pill, now they're happy. You give them the pill, they relive the rape, they relive the brutality in a very painful way, but they do it in a full way, let out the emotions, and then can move on in a more balanced way afterwards, not as burdened as before. So on that note, I think I'd like to encourage membership and support and questions.
And I certainly, I feel like the physician community that MAPS is a tremendous resource for some objectivity from the psychiatric profession and just physicians across the board. I feel like it's a wonderful
Well, thank you.
Learning opportunity for us. So we could go on, but let's stop and take a break.
Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
That was good.
Good evening and welcome to Louisville Late Night. We're here at the Normal 2002 convention, and I'm speaking with Dominic
Holton, how you doing?
He's the organizer of the Seattle Hemp Fest, and
I am indeed.
he is quite a brilliant person when it comes to putting things together, and I wonder if he could share with us what's been going on in Seattle.
Well, right now, for those of you who don't know, Seattle Hemp Fest, it's a huge cannabis and drug policy reform event. We've got activists from all different types of walks of life, and a huge crowd, 150,000 people showed up last year. It was the first time we had a two-day event, and this year we're working on having another successful festival. We've got one thing on our way, and that's the park. The place where we used to have it, they're doing construction. They're laying down these huge pipes, and our main stage area has lost 60,000 square feet. So we've got to move to a new park. We're looking at Volunteer Park. That's one we want. The city would like Magnuson Park to be the place where Hemp Fest is held. We don't want to go to Magnuson Park. You wouldn't want to be there either. So we are fighting right now. We've got a fantastic legal team. The same people, actually, who went after Seattle after the WTO protests and the police tear gassed all these poor innocent people. We've got a great constitutional attorney defending your freedom to peaceably assemble at the Seattle Hemp Fest. So be there on the third weekend of August, 2002. It's the third weekend of August every year. It's the 17th and 18th. If you want to catch us on the web, it's www. Grab your pencils. Seattle Hemp Fest.